We're going to segue right into the immigration issue. Now, that's a very touchy subject here in the state of Florida, and that's been the focus on a lot of criticism of you. Yeah. Mind you, hence the interview, I want to know a little bit more about that. Sure. When you were Speaker of the House, there were bills that were presented, 5 in particular, that...
Actually 6.
6, I'm sorry. Well, I didn't know, I'm asking, yeah. I'm getting it straight from the horse's mouth. Well, 6. And from what I understand, none of them made it to the floor.
Right.
Is there a reason? Because, I mean, yeah. If you can keep it short, I'd like to know why they never made it to the floor.
Well, there's no short and simple way of explaining the legislative process, but I would remind, there are 2 things I'd point out. That there were 6 bills. None of them made it to the floor in the House or in the Senate, and they're not going to make it to the floor, to the House or Senate this year either, and I'm no longer Speaker. The legislature in Florida meets for 60 days, and that's all you get. You get 60 days to balance a $72 billion budget. In the case of when I was Speaker, cut $3 billion out of a $72 billion budget and deal with all the other issues that the American people are, that the people in Florida are facing as well. And I don't know why I didn't make it out of that committee. I will tell you that one of the mandates I gave that committee was to try to combine the 6 bills into one, and it never got traction for multiple different reasons. Many of which, I wasn't involved in that. But I understand people's frustrations. I mean, they're frustrated that the federal government can't fix it, so they look to the states for piecemeal solutions and to the legislatures to do that as well, and I understand that frustration. But one thing is the legislative process, another thing is my position on the issue.
Okay, so what's your position? Are you pro-amnesty for illegal immigration?
No, never have been. In fact, I'm strongly against amnesty for a number of different reasons. The first is I always use the example of the speed limit. If you say the speed limit is 70, but you don't ticket people until they reach 80, well then the speed limit is really 80, it's not 70. And amnesty is the same thing. You can't, the most important thing we need to do is enforce our existing laws. We have existing immigration laws that are not being adequately enforced. Nothing will make it harder to enforce your existing laws if you reward people who broke them. In essence, if you go to people and say, look, well, you've been here for so long that even though you broke the law, we're going to let you stay. Number one, it demoralizes the people that are going through the legal process. It's a very clear signal that why go through the legal process if you can accomplish the same thing through the illegal process. And number two, it demoralizes the people enforcing the law. So I am not, and I will never support, never have and never will support any effort to grant blanket legalization amnesty to folks who have entered or stayed in this country illegally.
You mentioned the states getting involved. There's a number of states that already have imposed legislation to enforce these existing laws. Oklahoma, Maryland, Texas, I believe. The state of Florida isn't enforcing any of these laws. Are there anything on the books of laws that they can enforce? Are there?
Well, certainly, yeah. For example, nothing stops a local law enforcement agency now. If you detain someone and that person is an illegal immigrant, you can and should report that person to federal authorities. Whether they do that or not is what some of these laws tried to aim at, for example.
So you're for that, because a lot of people are not for that. They don't want, say for instance, if I got pulled over and I have to show status that I'm
well, that's different. I think that what some people may be opposed to is the notion that you require law enforcement to always ask that question. And the reason why some people are against that is because their argument, I think there's some validity to it, is that what you're telling law enforcement is that every time you pull somebody over that you think may be ethnic minority, you'll need to ask them whether or not they're illegal in this country. And I think some people are concerned about that. But look, the bottom line is this, okay? The bottom line is that the federal government has to solve this issue. And for Republicans, this is a dangerous issue, not because of where we stand. Because I want to be clear, where we stand on this issue is where the majority of Hispanic Americans stand. It's our rhetoric and our attitude that has harmed us, because people have come to believe that not only are we against illegal immigration, but that we actually hate the immigrant, when in fact that's not the case. We understand that immigrants, whether they're here legally or illegally, are children of God. We understand they're human beings. We understand that there's some profound and sad stories associated with their lives, but we also understand this is a country where the rule of law has to be respected. And here's why that's a problem. We've given the Democrats and the liberals a free pass, because the unions that control the Democratic Party are against immigration, legal and illegal. And they get to hide behind this issue, and all the blame falls on us.
Yeah, but you have to also understand how the perspective of people is that they see the burden that is put on our healthcare system, our criminal justice system, and our educational system. You know, we're flipping the bill. Your tax dollars, as mine, as everyone else's, is going to pay for them. Mind you, they're working, but they're not paying into the system. So hence, they're not paying for my injuries if I were to go to the hospital, or yours.
Right.
And that's not fair, is it?
No, that's why illegal immigration has to be controlled. And there's no, and people understand that. There's nothing wrong with that. But our rhetoric is very important. I mean, we have to be clear that we are in favor of legal immigration, that we're not, it's not because we don't want more Hispanics in this country, it's not because we don't want more people from other parts of the world to come here.
I'm sorry, legal immigration meaning?
People that go through the process of coming to this country. We do have a process.
We do, yes,
it's cumbersome, it doesn't work well, it's very bureaucratic, but we do have a process by which people who choose to come to the United States and chase and pursue their dreams can do so. There is such a process in place, and we need to make it so that the process works better. And we're for that. The Republicans aren't against that. The unions are. The unions are, they don't want a single person more to come into this country. And that's the message we have to get out there, is that they are the anti-immigration party, not the anti-illegal immigration party. The anti-immigration party is the union-controlled Democratic Party.
Gail Harrell proposed one of those bills in question, one of the 6 you said that never made it to the floor. It was along the lines of...
By the way, never made it out of the first committee.
First committee,
right?
Okay, sorry.
And neither the House or the Senate.
Okay, well, but even still, it called for a stoppage of funds, state funds, to go to labor pools, especially labor pools that that pretty much were proponents of illegal immigrants. In other words, gave them money, kept the doors open to support illegal immigration. Would you be for or against that?
Well, the issue's not before me. I'm certainly not for state dollars going to anybody. Let me put it to you this way, because I don't want to, a bill that I haven't read is one thing. What you've described to me is a situation where federal or state dollars, government dollars, would flow to a place that provides benefits and help to people who are in this country illegally. And the answer to that question is no. I'm not in favor of using state dollars to fund operations and things that help folks who have entered this country illegally. I'm not in favor of using the Treasury of the United States to favor folks who have entered this country illegally. If that's what the bill was about, we would be supportive of it. I mean, but that's as simple an answer as there is on that one.
Right, and again, back to what I just said, and again, the scrutiny that you're coming under, and what I'm hearing is you and Representative Rivera and Zapata, a lot of people believe that you guys pretty much shut the door on the whole process. So there's a lot of people out there that do believe that you guys strong-armed the process and didn't let it get past the committee.
Right.
Is there any
well, I mean, people can believe whatever they want. I mean, they reach conclusions based on whatever information has been given to them. I can only tell you that bill, I can only tell you where I stand on the issue of illegal immigration as a candidate for the United States Senate. I can only tell you procedurally why I think an issue didn't emerge out of its committee. But that leaves unanswered the question, for example, of why isn't that issue passing this year? I mean, I'm no longer a member of the Florida legislature. I'm no longer Speaker of the House. And the issue isn't getting any traction this year either. So that tells you if it didn't work last year and it didn't work this year, there's some other fundamental things going on. And primarily, it is my belief that the reason why these issues didn't make it through was because there were so many other issues in a constrained period of time of 60 days when the legislature meets. That's my guess as to why it didn't move forward.
Let's say tomorrow, elections tomorrow, you become the next senator of the state of Florida. And if a bill crosses your desk regarding immigration reform, how would you vote? Would you vote for it or vote against it?
Well, what's in the bill? I mean, that really depends what the bill is about. I mean, if the bill grants amnesty, if the bill rewards folks who have illegally entered the country.
Let's say all of the above. What are you going to say? Let's just say it promotes amnesty.
I'd vote against it. I mean, I would vote against anything that grants amnesty because I think it destroys your ability to enforce the existing law, and I think it's unfair to the people who are standing in line and waiting to come in legally. I would vote against anything that has amnesty in it.
Okay.